Ever so often there comes a lens that's so good you can't ignore it, especially when the price is just right. I feel like the Sigma 70-200 f2.8 DG/DN lens is one of those lenses because this costs around $1,500, where my more expensive 70-200 lens, this is the Sony 70-200 2.8 G Master Mark II, this costs nearly $3,000. $1,500, $3,000. 1,500, that's a lot of money. And when I was comparing both these lenses, I was pleasantly surprised to see how well the Sigma lens kept up. And there were even a few instances where I didn't know which lens shot which photo. And so we're gonna talk about this lens. I'm gonna share my personal user experience, and then I'll give you my final thoughts if upgrading to a more expensive lens is actually worth it. Okay, this is the Sigma 70-200 f8. ISO 200, stabilization turned on. Sony 70-200. I'm shaking, but it's really steady. All right, let's talk about the ergonomics of this lens. I love the way this lens looks. I love the way it's built. It has a nice rugged feel to it. I mean, the texture has like this smooth matte finish to it. But what's great about the construction of this lens is that it's weather sealed, so that's cool. Here, let me show you what it looks like side by side with my Sony 70-200. It's a little bit longer and a little bit thicker. The Sony is definitely lighter, but honestly not that much lighter. But going back to the ergonomics of this lens, there's a whole bunch of switches and buttons that are there for you to use when you go out on a shoot. Of course, you got your autofocus manual focus switch, you got a focus limiter, you got your stabilization switch, a click switch for your aperture ring, and a lock switch to lock the aperture, which is pretty cool. There are custom switches and buttons which you can program whatever feature you want on the lens. And you have this really cool tripod foot where you can adjust it and it clicks into place. Here, I'm gonna bring it close to the camera so you can hear. That's one position. That's another position. Like, how cool is that? You can't do that with the Sony lens. You kind of have to align it with the marks over here. Pfft, whatever. Come on, Sony, do better. But overall, the tripod foot is very nice. The only negative thing I have to say about the tripod foot is that it's not easy to remove. Like this thing over here, you have to have like an Allen key to remove it, and it's not the easiest to remove. Where the Sony one, it's like you just unlock it, like twist it and just pull it out. This, I don't think Sigma designed for you to remove the tripod foot, even though they say you can. And so yeah, that's my only complaint about the tripod foot. Also, the hood of this lens is kind of cool. I think there's bits of carbon fiber built into it, but you just attach it to the front of the lens, twist it, and lock it, and there you go. You got a nice little hood for your lens. Like I said before, there's an aperture ring, which I really like using. You got your focus ring in the middle and your zoom ring in the front of the lens, and I am not a big fan of that. Like, I'm kind of used to having the zoom ring in the middle of the lens. It feels more natural because it's right smack dab in the middle. But I can understand why Sigma placed the zoom ring in front of the lens, because if you're attaching the camera body right over here and you're holding it with your hand, it kind of makes sense to place your other hand where the front of the lens is for like maximum stability. Like, I get that. It just feels kind of weird to me because I'm just used to, you know, all my Sony lenses. And so yeah, those are my only two complaints about the ergonomics of the lens: the tripod foot that you can't really remove it easily, and the fact that the zoom ring is in the front. Oh my gosh, there's a hot air balloon. There's a hot air balloon. Hold on, right there. There's a hot air balloon. I gotta film this. Look, it's a hot air balloon. So cool. Now for context, I should probably show you how far away I am. So there's a hot air balloon, pretty far away. And there's a shot of the balloon. Pretty cool, right? Okay, back to the video. All right, up next, let's talk about image quality. Holy moly, this lens can produce some pretty awesome images. Like, the photos that I took with this lens were really good. I mean, I don't think they're as sharp as Sigma art lenses, obviously, like they're like top of the line, and not quite as sharp as my Sony G Master Mark II, but these images right here kind of prove that this lens can take some pretty awesome photos. But I think where this lens really shines is the stabilization. The stabilization on this lens is fantastic. Like, these shots that you see here were all filmed handheld at 200 millimeters. Handheld. All right, so I'm filming with the Sigma 70-200. I don't have active stabilization on my Sony Alpha 7C. I'm at 70 millimeters, and I just want to show you the stabilization of this lens. It's pretty impressive. Obviously, it's at 70 millimeters, but let's punch it all the way to 200. There you go. Look at that. That's pretty steady. Just gonna try to find my daughter who's on third base. There she is. So you can see the versatility of this lens. You can see how stable this lens is to use, especially if you don't have a tripod or a monopod. Like if you just want to hand hold this thing, like it is absolutely usable and pretty great for stuff like this. And so yeah, if you're a parent, soccer mom, dad, whatever, and you want to capture your kids up close like this, yeah, this lens is great. Now, when it comes to autofocusing performance, this lens isn't as good as the Sony. It doesn't really hunt per se, but it just takes a little bit longer to lock down the focus. And so if you're wanting to use this lens to film lots of video with, I would be careful. I would probably go with the Sony 7200 if that's the case. But if it's just for photos, like I definitely think this lens is good enough. Now, to be fair, the Sony 7200 doesn't always lock on focus like right away. Like it's not a perfect lens. It's just, it does a better job than the Sigma. But again, you're talking about nearly a $3,000 lens where this is pretty much half the cost. And so if you're breaking out into sports photography for the very first time, you most likely don't want to spend $3,000 for a single lens. You might want to spend $1,500 for a lens that produce pretty similar results, but half the price. Some compromises for sure, but it's half the price. And for you parents out there that want to have a nice telephoto lens to capture your kids' soccer games or dance recitals, like this is the lens to get. Honestly, like get this lens. Parenting costs a lot of money, and so save that extra $1,500 to get another lens because that's what I do. But honestly, this lens gives you the best bang for your buck and can give you pretty similar results that this particular lens can give. This is by far the better lens. It's faster in autofocus, it's lighter, it's definitely sharper, but $1,500. Similar results. It's kind of a hard argument not to get this lens, you know? And so I guess to wrap up this video, I totally dig this lens. It's so good. I mean, the fact that it's $1,500 just makes it accessible for a lot of people, because I know a lot of people out there, they want to invest in the right camera gear, and it's so hard to fall into the temptation of spending more will give you the better gear. But sometimes that's not necessarily the case. It's not always about the most expensive lens, but it's also about the type of camera you have, the type of lighting that you have. All these little elements of filmmaking and photography come into play that you just can't really invest on one single product. I mean, if you got the money, then sure, whatever, big spender. But if you want a 70-200 lens that shoots at f2.8, that will give you the best bang for your buck, I'd go with the Sigma.